Hi, this is Father Jim Martin. I am culture editor of America Magazine, and this is another in our series of commentaries from the rooftop of America House in exciting Midtown Manhattan. I'm here to talk to you about lay saints today. Ever since the Second Vatican Council talked about the universal call to holiness, there's been a real push to recognize lay saints in the church. And there have been quite a few contemporary lay men and women who have been canonized recently. So we think of someone like Saint Gianna Molla, who was an Italian mother who carried her child to term rather than consent to an abortion, even though it was a threat to her life, and she eventually died. Someone like Blessed Pier Giorgio Frassati, a charismatic Italian social activist and a sort of man's man and a bon vivant who has now been beatified. You have people like Dorothy Day, the American-born founder of the Catholic Merkel movement, who is on track for canonization, and also someone like Louis and Zélie Martin, the parents of Saint Therese of Lisieux, who were beatified in 2008. But when it comes to recognizing saints, the Church still favors popes, priests, brothers, and sisters. Last month, Pope Benedict advanced the cause of 27 candidates for sainthood, and most of them were priests, brothers, and sisters. 50 years after the Second Vatican Council, why is it so hard for the Church to identify lay saints? And you know, many lay people tell me that they're longing for examples of lay sanctity, and examples of lay sanctity who led rather daily lives that they could relate to. A lot of lay people long for saints that they can connect to, not people who were royalty like Saint Elizabeth of Hungary, people who started great social movements like Dorothy Day, people who might have died in very tragic situations like Gianna Molla. They're looking for people that they can relate to as lay men and women in their daily lives. And it's an important theological insight too, because we have to ask the question, who is holier? Someone like Pope John Paul II, now Blessed John Paul, or say an elderly mother who takes care of an autistic child for years and years without anyone knowing? Well, the answer is they're both holy. They're both saintly in their own way. As Blessed John XXIII once said about St. Aloysius Gonzaga, if Aloysius had been as I am, he would have been holy in a different way. All of us are holy in different ways. There's not one kind of holiness that's better or worse than another. So why is it so hard for the Church to recognize lay saints? Well, first of all, there still is this persistent belief in some quarters that the priest or brother or sister or pope or bishop is still holier than the lay person, and that's a really kind of enduring belief, unfortunately. When I was a boy in Sunday school class, we were given a little picture to color once, and on the one side there was a drawing of a priest and a sister, on the other side a drawing of a husband and a wife. Under the husband and the wife it said good, under the priest and sister it said better. So I think that is still really ingrained in a lot of Catholics. Second is the more public nature of some priests and brothers and sisters, and certainly popes. We know about them more, and so it's easier for kind of a local devotion to grow up around them. Everyone knows who John Paul was, and so people can feel devoted to him, right? The problem is if you have, say, the elderly mother of the autistic child, there's not a lot of people that know about her holiness, and so it's more difficult for the local cult or local devotion to grow up around that person. So the very public nature of some people in religious orders and who are ordained, in a sense, frustrates the desire for more lay saints because they're simply not as well known. The third reason, and really the most important reason, is the time-consuming process that it takes for someone to be canonized. Now, certainly the Church needs a very thorough process of vetting candidates for sainthood. The problem is that the process is so arduous and time-consuming and really expensive that only dioceses and religious orders have the know-how and, you know, really the money to push this through, to sort of fulfill all the requirements. So if you take the case of someone who's the foundress or founder of a religious order, the religious order will know how to work the case through the Congregation of the Causes of Saints in the Vatican, you know, understand all the paperwork and all that's required. If you look at the elderly mother of the autistic child, you know, the family doesn't really have the wherewithal or the know-how to sort of advance that person's cause. So those are three reasons, I think, that sort of makes it more difficult for the church to recognize lay saints. But I think the call for the church in these post-Vatican II days, when we're all called to be saints, you know, Mother Teresa said, holiness is not the luxury of a few, it's everybody's duty, yours and mine, is for the church to really streamline some of the procedures and make it easier for us to recognize these great lay saints, because the church doesn't create them, they're already there. God has created these wonderful lay saints that are all around us, and all it needs to happen is for the church to make it easier for us to see them and to recognize them. For America Magazine, I'm Father Jim Martin. God bless you.